I don't know how the Tigers get to the World Series without Tarik Skubal in 2026. I don't know how that could happen.
They have a really tough decision on their hands because, you can keep him for one more year. Tigers just went to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. You could try one more shot at it, but if you're eliminated in the wild card round or divisional round again for the third season in a row, and there goes Skubal and he signs with somebody else and you have nothing in return to show for it. If you're going to trade Skubal, you're going to bring in 3 to 4 top 100 prospects, and that can completely change the trajectory of your organization.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big League Dreaming, the podcast, a show about baseball, dreams, and family. I'm John Gonzalez, the dad, once again joined by 2 of his 3 sons. Son number 3, we would believe, is walking his dog right now. That's a different story for a different day. Let's introduce the sons that we have on today's show. It is Zach Gonzalez. He is from Charlotte, North Carolina, a big Seattle Mariners fan. And hello, Zach. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Sad that baseball is over.
Yeah.
Officially going into off-season hibernations. Already looking forward to spring training.
Looking forward to the World Baseball Classic. We'll have to do a special show about that. Joining us from Grand Rapids, Michigan, son number 2, Ty Gonzalez. He's the Mets fan. Ty, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Before you jumped on, I was talking to Zach about the weather here, how cold it was this morning. So I'm ready for some winter. We're getting snow this weekend, so I'm doing good. I love the cold.
We are supposed to be getting snow this weekend here in Michigan. Son number 3 is Zane Gonzalez. He's based in South Bend. He's also still coaching. He's still in the baseball world professionally. He is the associate head coach at Indiana University South Bend. They wrapped up fall ball, but I don't know. He had one-on-one sessions today, I think he said. I'm not sure exactly what he has going on. But the one thing we do know about college baseball, right, Zach and Ty, that it's year-round sport. You're either working out or you're practicing or you're playing games. So it's a big commitment. So we understand when he can't make the show. All right, guys, let's on today's podcast, we're going to recap the World Series a little bit. Not spend a lot of time on it because we all know what happened. Still kind of shocking in a way, but not in a way. But we're also going to run down some of our picks for the postseason awards in Major League Baseball. We've got MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, and Manager of the Year. We'll run through those categories as well because they're all coming up here in the next few days. All right, let's go to Zach. I know your Mariners you could see yourself, right? Your Mariners playing in that World Series game, one step away. I don't know how they would have matched up against the Dodgers, obviously, who eventually won. But what were your takeaways of that 7-game series going the Dodgers way?
Yeah, it was some fun baseball to watch. I feel like it kind of played out how I envisioned it playing out with, it's a little bit of Blue Jays offense and then some Blue Jays taking advantage of that Dodgers bullpen for a couple of the games. But ultimately, the Dodgers, the star power they have on their team, was able to pull it out in the end. I really loved the little clip I saw when they interviewed Kike Hernandez with that collision in left center field between him and Andy Pages. And bases loaded, 2 outs, tie game in the 9th. If Pages drops that fly ball, the game's over. And Kike getting collided into, falling down, and his back is to the field. So he just assumed Pages dropped the ball and they just lost the World Series. And then Pages has to run over and say, "Hey, I caught it." And he's like, "Let's go."
Yeah, that was a turning point. The Blue Jays 2 outs away from winning the World Series, which that's how close it was, right? But I don't know. I thought the Blue Jays were going to win that Game 7. I was a little disappointed that they didn't win, but Ty, I think you predicted it from the very beginning, 7 games, and I think you predicted that the Dodgers would win, right?
Yeah, when we did our prediction episode last week, I said Game 6 was Game 7. If Blue Jays lost it, they were going to lose the series. What I didn't know was they looked like they were going to win Game 7 when I was watching it. They had all the opportunities. They had bases loaded multiple times. Yeah, when they brought in Andy, Zach, you mentioned that catch. When they brought him in, I was like, all right, the ball is going to be hit to him, because it seems like every time in baseball when you bring in someone defensively, there's always a big moment, or especially in the playoffs, it's always hit to them. I don't know why it works that way, but it just seems like whenever you put someone in defensively, they get the next play. Yeah, when they were running for that ball, I'm like, all right, he's going to drop it. I don't know how he caught that. but they had all the opportunities to score, and even when they had the infield in and they had the play at the plate, and it was really exciting to watch. One of the best World Series in a long time, I'd say.
Yeah,
And some people were even saying one of the best of all time because of the extra inning games and all the drama in it.
Yamamoto pitching the next day after the complete game, and then whatever 104 pitches he had the second outing, then turns around. He was the only player in Game 7, or only pitcher in the Dodgers lineup that the manager said will not pitch Game 7, right? He had the day off today. Everyone else is fair game, and then guess what? He gets the win. I mean, that's just incredible. The Dodgers, and I think, for a lot of the offseason, there'll be a lot of talk about the offseason, whether it's fair that the Dodgers, are the Dodgers and they go out there get these big names and so forth. But I will tell you this, they're a well-coached team. I think from top to bottom, I think they rival any other team that I've seen play over the last 30, 40 years. They're well-coached. They're playing the game as it's played today. That's the thing, right, about baseball. The game was played different in the 90s when you guys were growing up. And baseball is completely different today. So hats off to the Dodgers. Glad they were able to pull it off. Bummed for Toronto. But now it's the offseason time, and what's going to happen, right, Zach? This is the fun part. Like, we're bummed there's no baseball, but all these speculation stories and all these people that are out there giving their predictions of who's going to be traded, who's going to be signed. You never know what's going to happen in the offseason.
Absolutely. It feels like the winter meetings, December 7th through the 10th, is right around the corner. That's when we'll get the draft lottery. That'll be December 9th. We'll get the order for the 2026 draft. And then on the 10th, they'll do the Rule 5 draft. And then after that, things will really start shaping up pretty quickly because pitchers and catchers will report February 10th-ish. Then, like you said, World Baseball Classic, March 5th through the 17th. And then opening day, March 26th.
It'll be here before you know it. So hopefully it won't be too much of a wait in the offseason. I love the extremes, too, of the stories, right? I've read some recent stories where Tarik Skubal will be traded before the start of the season, before spring training. That's going to happen. Then I've heard stories around the same time saying, well, he's staying with the Tigers. They're going to go for one last chance to make the World Series with Tarik Skubal on the mound. I mean, that's the extreme of some of these stories, right, Ty? I mean, you're hearing it, too, right, with some of your players. Alonso, he's not coming back with the Mets, is he?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Right?
It's up in the air. I don't think he is. I think he might be gone. But Skubal, I mean, I hope the Tigers pay him, They need to. He's a franchise player.
He is the franchise player, but the cost of that, I mean, it's not our money. We're not playing with, that's the funny thing too, is like people will speculate things. They'll talk about money. Well, it's not your money.
Yeah.
I mean, the owners are the ones who are going to pay in the money. And if it locks in your team and it limits your team, that's your owner's position. And they're going to live with it and die with it. So I don't know. I keep going back and forth on this, whether the Tigers will sign Tarik Skubal to this humongous contract, probably the biggest contract ever for a pitcher in any player really in any sport, or will they go out and get as many prospects as they can and also get guys that can help them get to that World Series. I don't know how the Tigers get to the World Series without Tarik Skubal in 2026. I don't know how that could happen. Right, Zach?
Right. They have a really tough decision on their hands because, you can keep him for one more year. Tigers just went to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. You could try one more shot at it, but if you're eliminated in the wild card round or divisional round again for the third season in a row, and there goes Skubal and he signs with somebody else and you have nothing in return to show for it. If you're going to trade Skubal, you're going to bring in 3 to 4 top 100 prospects, and that can completely change the trajectory of your organization. But like you said, a generational talent. He's the number 1, maybe number 2 pitcher in all of baseball right now. And he will be for the next few years at least. Very difficult decision for the Tigers. Either way, people are not going to be happy. But I'm excited to see what happens.
But their prospects are one of the best, though. So, like, what prospects do they need? They had the Whitecaps, they won the whole thing, and 3 of those guys of their big prospects weren't even on the team.
True. And the Tigers are loaded, but pitching seems to be the soft spot for them. A lot of the pitching prospects have come through somewhat marginally, but pitching is still a big need for the Tigers. So we'll see what happens there. I know, Zach, for the Mariners, you got your corners, first and third, to figure out, right?
Yep, everybody's hoping that they can sign Josh Naylor and bring him back. They really loved him in Seattle. He seemed to really like it there. But I feel like first base is kind of the biggest hole because you don't really have a prospect that can come up and fill that spot. You have a couple guys on the way that could play third base. So first base is a little more emphasis than third right now. And then also they would like to get one corner outfielder. We'll see if they keep Randy Arozarena or if they trade him. And then bullpen. Their bullpen, they just did not get an extra arm at the deadline. And it really showed in the playoffs. They really could use one more high leverage guy. And there were reports they were like one prospect away from getting Johan Duran, and he ends up going to the Phillies. You know, if you have Duran, I feel like it's a whole new ballgame down the stretch and in the postseason for the Mariners. It'll be interesting what they see. I see them linked with Skubal a lot. There's a lot of reports Skubal going to Seattle. We'll see. There's only a couple teams out there that have the farm system that could pull off a Skubal trade package. The Red Sox. So it'll just depend on who the Tigers like, right? They're probably going to want a starting pitcher who's ready to go. Jonah Tong from the Mets could be that guy. Maybe Skubal goes to the Mets. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the Mets have been named in those talks as well, or at least as potential suitors for Tarik Skubal. Ty, real quick, because as we get into the predictions here for the postseason awards, what do you want to see? So you're not sure about Alonso. What do you want to see with the Mets in the offseason?
Their pitching. So Zach just mentioned Skubal, but their pitching needs to, it's just all over the place. They have so many, it seems like towards the end of the season too, they had a lot of injuries all season, but their pitching, like, they didn't have the consistency in their starters like they have in the past. Like, it seemed like when they were making those other playoff runs, especially 2015, they had their set guys, their starters that were, they had their DeGroms and their Syndergaards and Harvey and all these big starters. And this year, their starters were just kind of all over the place. They didn't have, like, Senga was hurt, not hurt. They didn't have, like, their big starting pitchers that they usually have. I think their offense will be fine because they're stacked there and they can score a lot of runs, but the offense consistently too was kind of up and down. They had those stretches where they were putting up 11, 12 runs, but some of those games they were losing. Like it comes down to their pitching, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, let's get into the postseason awards right now. We're going to run through Rookie of the Year. These awards will be announced on November 10 on the MLB Network, 7 p.m. In the American League, Nick Kurtz from the Athletics, Jacob Wilson also from the Athletics, Roman Anthony from the Red Sox are the finalists. Let me shut my phone off over here. Hold on one second. Zach, any quick predictions there? Roman Anthony all the way? Nick Kurtz?
I think it would be Nick Kurtz. I watched him play at Wake Forest. He had an awesome season. And I feel like he was up with the Athletics a lot longer than Roman Anthony was. So he has a little bit more stats to back his case. So I think he's going to win it.
Ty, I would agree with you, Zach, by the way. I'm voting for Nick Kurtz in that award.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, we're all unanimous. Nick Kurtz.
Unanimous.
All right, now in the NL, Drake Baldwin from the Braves. Dude's a beast. Caleb Durbin from the Brewers and Kate Horton from the Cubs. Again, 7 p.m. MLB Network, November 10. Zach, Drake Baldwin, Braves?
Yes, Drake Baldwin. I love Kate Horton. I think he's going to be really good. I know a lot of teams asked about him at the trade deadline with the Cubs. I think he could be a really good pitcher. He had an awesome year. But Drake Baldwin, he just stepped up and he just kept hitting all year. When Sean Murphy went down, the Braves were like, all right, well, let's call it Baldwin. He's one of our better prospects. We'll see how he does. And he just kept hitting. He forced playing time for himself. And Sean Murphy came off the injury list. And they kept playing Drake Baldwin because he was that good.
It was that good. Ty, unanimous?
Unanimous.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of the Rookie of the Years are usually that way too.
Yeah. I saw him play at the end of the season when the Braves were in at Comerica toward the end of the season. So, all right, we'll go to the American League Manager of the Year finalists again. MLB Network, 7 p.m. This one's on November 11th. In the American League, John Schneider from the Blue Jays, Stephen Vogt from the Guardians, and Dan Wilson from the Mariners. Oh, this will be a toss. This will be good for you, Zach.
Yeah. So I really love Stephen Vogt. He He was an awesome player, and then he was the bullpen coach for the Mariners for 1 year before taking that head job over in Cleveland. I feel like Dan Wilson can only get better. First year, Dan Wilson was not good, and all of the players love him in the clubhouse, and that's great. That's very important, culture and all that. But the in-game decision making was just brutal all season long, from the beginning of the season all the way to the end, and then it showed in the postseason too. He got exposed. So I think John Schneider wins this award, especially after the Blue Jays finishing in last place in the AL East last year to go all the way to the World Series. I feel like you give it to Schneider.
Yeah, Schneider seems to be the lock there. I will say this for Dan Wilson. I think that for Mariners fans, including yourself, Zach, that it was a good season for him to get that experience because you need it, right? That's only going to bode well for him down the road. Ty, unanimous?
Yeah, you got to give it to the Blue Jays.
I know.
Got
right?
to.
Like, how can you say no to that? In the National League, got the finalist are Pat Murphy from the Brewers, Rob Thompson from the Phillies, and Terry Francona from the Reds. Zach?
I go with Pat Murphy.
Pat Murphy.
Best record in baseball, right? Didn't they have the most wins?
They did.
Number one seed.
They were.
I mean, unfortunately, they got swept by the Dodgers in the playoffs, 4-0 to go to lose, missing out on the World Series. But what a great year by the Brewers! Really fun to see.
Yeah, how many wins did they end up with? They were at almost 100, weren't they?
Zach will look it up here for you. I don't think anyone hit 100. I don't think anyone hit 100 this year.
98, I think.
97 for Milwaukee. They had the most wins, 97 and 65. 96 and 66 was Philadelphia right behind them.
I'm surprised Tito got some votes in that in the top three. I mean, the Reds, I've always been waiting for the Reds to break out, and they're just not doing it.
They kind of turned it on there at the end of the year, though.
They did. I know. There's potential there. I want to see my Reds. That's my second favorite NL team.
Swept the Mets.
Let's go to the American League Cy Young finalist, November 12th on the MLB Network, 7 p.m. Hunter Brown from the Astros, Garrett Crochet from the Red Sox, and Tarik Skubal from the Tigers. Tarik Skubal's been the prediction from day one. I don't think it really changed much as the season went along. Hunter Brown and Garrett Crochet both had good seasons, but Skubal all the way, right, Zach?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the pitcher that the Mariners beat 4 times in 2025, and that's Tarik Skubal.
Rubbing it in. Nice. Ty?
4 times. Is that true?
That's true.
Really?
Yes. He just could not.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, it's got to be him though. He's dominant.
He's dominant. Over in the National League, Paul Skeens from the Pirates, Yamamoto from the Dodgers, and Christopher Sanchez. When he was on, man, that guy was lights out from the Phillies. Again, November 12th on the MLB Network. Ty, will go to you this time. Skeens, Yamamoto, Sanchez. Who do you think?
I feel like it's between Skeens and Yamamoto. Maybe Skeens. I don't know. He had a lot of games where he had a lot of strikeouts.
Oh, I mean, Skeens, no question, is in a class of his own. But Yamamoto, with even the postseason, is not supposed to have a huge influence on it. But I mean, how does he not win the award? Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's Skeens because the voting completes before the playoffs get going. So all that magic that Yamamoto showed in the World Series is not factored in with these votes and results. And Yamamoto won the World Series MVP, so he has that. I think Skeens wins the Cy Young.
Okay. So, Ty, you said Yamamoto or Skeens?
It's between those two, but I don't know. Now that Zach says the voting's done before, I didn't even know that. I think it's Skeens.
I think Yamamoto. I just have this feeling that somehow it's just meant to be. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It could be.
Could be. All right, let's go to the final award of the postseason. This would be the AL
Cal Raleigh
MVP award, the AL and NL, 7 p.m. MLB Network, November 13th. Jose Ramirez from the Guardians, Aaron Judge from the Yankees, and the Big Dumper from the Mariners. Zach, obviously, Cal Raleigh. It's funny because we had this discussion early mid-season, right? And we were like, Zach's like, don't watch out. I mean, Aaron Judge is, everyone thinks it's Aaron Judge all the way, but it's funny how the tide just turned as the home run numbers went up in the record career season that Cal Raleigh had for the Mariners. A season I don't think is going to be matched again. I mean, he did some incredible things. I think he does it. I think you're right. I think he wins it over Aaron Judge. How about you, Ty?
Yeah, I think he does too. Just because of the season he had, it was, like you said, it was a different season, and Judge has won it before. Cal got all the eyes on him this season. I think it was his season.
Zach, one word to describe Cal Raleigh other than Big Dumper, which is 2 words.
Historic.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And not to discount Jose Ramirez, he kills the Tigers. So yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Judge or Raleigh, Jose Ramirez all the way. In the National League, the finalists are Shohei Ohtani from the Dodgers, Juan Soto from the Mets, and Kyle Schwarber from the Phillies, who is, by the way, a free agent, right? This offseason. So
Yeah, he is.
So we'll see what happens there. November 13th will be the announcement on the MLB Network. Boy, this one, is it Shohei Ohtani all the way? I mean, he had an incredible year. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's Ohtani because he pitched this year. Being able, I mean, he had that one game where he hit 3 home runs and punched out 10 guys.
10 people, yeah.
I mean, that was later on, so.
It was late in the season, but that's kind of when I felt the surge going his way because he just started to turn it on, and I don't think there's a chance to beat him.
Yeah, I think it's just the star power that is Ohtani. It feels like the MVP is locked in for him for the next 3 years minimum.
Yeah. Ty, I'm sure you would agree. It's fun to watch a player like this that we'll never see again. I mean, I don't know if your kids will see a player like this. It's a pretty cool time in baseball.
Yeah, if he's hitting and pitching, you got to give it to him every year. I don't care if he's hitting 250 and his ERA is 3. I mean, you're doing both. That's in the MLB. Who does that? Nobody does that.
Ty can relate. Ty can relate.
Got to give it to him.
Right, Zach? Ty can relate.
Well, all the media stuff that he does too. That's like a third role that he's doing because nobody else has all those cameras and interviews and whatnot that he does. The media stuff he has to do every single day is unreal.
And he speaks Japanese. I mean, that's a hard language to learn.
I know. That's
yeah.
the point.
All I know is why is Soto up for that?
Because he's Juan Soto, and I don't know who else they would put up there. I mean, all right. Thanks, everyone.
Lindor.
Thanks, everyone, for joining Big League Dreaming, the podcast show about baseball dreams and family. It's good to do a quick little World Series wrap up and a postseason award predictions. We'll see how we'll do. Yeah, we've got some stuff to do in the offseason. We're going to kind of tweak some things and see what happens, but we'll be making some announcements later this year. In the meantime, Ty, why don't you tell people where they can find out more information about the podcast?
Real quick before I do that, do you have Soto's stats pulled up there? How many home runs did he hit?
Let's see.
It was like 30-something, right?
Yeah, it's 30-something.
29 of those home runs, his first 29 were all solo home runs. He didn't hit a home run with anybody on base until that Tigers game in September.
43 home runs, 105 RBI.
All I know is whatever number it was in Detroit, that was his first home run with somebody on base. Every time, hit 2 outs, no one on, down by 6, Soto home run. Doesn't matter.
What a Mets fan you are, Ty.
Just had to point that out.
38 stolen bases, led the National League. 396 OBP, led the National League. 127 walks, led MLB.
Okay.
Yeah, he did get a lot of walks. We'll say that. All right, I'll sign us off. This is Big League Dreaming, the podcast. You can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, here on YouTube. Subscribe. We come out with episodes on Saturdays, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We love to connect with all of you. And, of course, follow us on social media at Big League Dreaming on TikTok and at BLDPOD, BLD Pod on X, formerly known as Twitter. Tweet us. Come on the show.
See you, everyone.
See you on the next one, everyone.